Other business, item 25.
Consider scheduling a special city council meeting to be held on Tuesday, December 11th, 2018, at 7 o'clock p.m. to conduct a public hearing regarding a moratorium on applications and plans for development for permits, plats, verifications, rezonings, site plans, and new or revised certificates of occupancy for multifamily developments within the corporate city limits of Mesquite, and consider an ordinance on first reading establishing the moratorium.
It was consensus of the council to move forward in this regard. We have consideration for a couple of things tonight in regard. We'll take them each one at a time. Council, do we have any questions or motion on item A?
Move to approve.
Motion to by Mr.
Second.
Archer. Second by Ms. Miklos. Any other comment? Please cast your vote. And that item passes 6-1. Mr. Casper is a one negative vote. Item B.
A resolution authorizing a temporary moratorium to take effect on applications and plans for development for permits, plats, verifications, rezoning, site plans, and new or revised certificates of occupancy for multifamily dwellings within the corporate city limits of Mesquite.
We have
Move also to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Mr. Alderman. Are there any comments? Or
I do,
Mr.
Mayor.
Casper?
Thanks. I just want to be clear that this moratorium that we're discussing, there's two parcels in all Mesquite that could be developed today for apartments. Both of those have been owned for decades, and they don't have the financing or the will to develop for multifamily. And so what we're really doing is taking time to talking about apartments when we could actually just be discussing the ordinance and get the job done and move on. And so I think this moratorium is more political posturing than it is good public policy. And so for that reason, I can't support it. But I want to be clear. I'm ready to talk about apartments. I'm ready to strengthen the ordinances that improve future development when it comes. But it's not coming today. It can't come today. The two parcels, they've been owned for a decade. And so I really think this is more about political points, about campaigning, than it is about public policy. And frankly, we talk a lot about what future council members need to do. They need to govern. They can campaign some other time on someone else's dime when it's not time to govern. And so I think that's what's happening tonight, and that's why I'm voting no. But you'll see, I'll be very much involved in crafting better ordinances for both apartments and for subdivisions. So I look forward to moving this conversation forward so we can do just that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Councilman Archer.
I think it's useful for the conversation if Deputy Mayor Pro Tem wouldn't mind adding what he added in the pre-meeting tonight about hopefully it will come from these future discussions.
Oh, your list.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm not doing $100 for this one.
No. Now, multiple citizens have voiced concerns that the reason they don't want more apartments built is because they bring crime or there's things wrong with all of our old apartments. So what I've asked our city manager to get us is some information so that we can look at our older apartments to find out, exactly what's wrong with them and what do we need to do to fix the situation with our older apartments. If we need to work with developers to try to redevelop them, or just what needs to be done. So I've asked the city manager to give us a list of all the apartments already built in Mesquite, the year they were constructed, when they were last renovated, and the number of units that are in each apartment complex, the approximately occupancy percentage, the last code inspection, the number of violations, and the types over the last couple of years, a list of fire inspections, number of violations and types, the number of fire, ambulance, and police calls that we have at those apartment complexes, and also the number of complaints received to the city by the tenants that live in these apartments. That will give us a better understanding of what's going on at all our apartments that are already in our city. So if we're going to do a moratorium and take this time, if it does pass, let's look at the whole city, the whole thing that's going on, so that in the future we can make the decision and look and see where we need to make it better for our citizens.
Here, here.
Thank you. Councilman Miklos, your light's on.
Thank you, Mayor. Had someone recently tell me that less is more, so I'll try and be succinct. Everything tonight you've seen, every zoning ordinance, everything that we've discussed about land use planning has been about planning, how to make things fit. We have older, aging infrastructure. We're spending $125 million to repair our roads. We're reducing the lanes on Gus Thomason and Town East. We're moving Skyline Drive. We've blacktopped Gross Road and Northwest Drive. We have an infrastructure that was built for single-family development, and we just passed an ordinance not allowing second single-family dwellings in everything less than a half acre because our infrastructure doesn't really permit that. I disagree with the thought that, if we could just visit these ordinances, then we don't need a moratorium for two reasons. Number one, I've been on this council for a year and a half, and we haven't discussed apartments or done any ordinances for apartments. And some of my colleagues have been in here much longer, and that hasn't been discussed. I think the mayor has, and I applaud the mayor, and the mayor has said we did it 10 years ago, and there's no reason not to do it again. So I very much appreciate the mayor's comments. But if you're saying, why don't we just get to it, then I would challenge my comrades to tell me why they haven't gotten to it in 3 or 5 years, if it was so important. My oldest son lived in the Hillcrest Apartments, and there's no shame and there's nothing wrong, and these people deserve our best. The people who live in the apartment complexes that are here and the people who will live in the complexes that have yet to be built, they deserve more. They deserve better. Our entire town deserves us to actually plan for green space, parkland, for traffic impact, for facades and parking and everything else that goes with this. Doing a moratorium, number one, doesn't allow an apartment to come in here while we discuss the changes and to file an application. We did that exact same thing for our truck stops, and it worked. And we came up with a much better ordinance, and we didn't feel like we had to rush through it because we just had an application come through. That's number one. But number two, it puts us on the clock. Instead of punting this down the road and allowing our citizens to live in dilapidated apartment complexes and worry about the impact on our infrastructure, it puts us on the 120-day clock to get this done and do better for our citizens and do better for our town. Because like I just said, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Let us stop planning to fail and move this town forward correctly. I will support this motion.
Mr. Casper. Mr. Casper.
Thanks, Mayor. So I agree with a lot of what Councilman Miklos said, just not the tone or the tenor that somehow opposing a moratorium is opposing planning, because it's not. Like I said, I'm going to participate in every discussion. I'm going to strengthen every ordinance that we pass. But you do a moratorium to pause development so they can't continue with active development. It's what we did with the truck stops. They were actively trying to develop when we paused that. Same thing with dollar stores. They were active in the queue developments. What this was is a campaign promise a year ago that we're trying to check off before we run for election. That's what this is. We also haven't done a comprehensive plan. We'll be conducting that. We are conducting that with the city and with residents. There is no current filing. It can only be done on 2 parcels, and they've owned those parcels for decades, and they have no will to develop multifamily on those two parcels in this entire city. And so what this is talking points. The data that Councilman Burrows is asking for is going to be available on the 17th. Chris has most of it ready to go tonight. And so, again, this is talking about apartments. This is political posturing. This isn't public policy. We could have done this at any point. In fact, we've done different retreats to talk about priorities, and never once, and any one of us council members can put things on the agenda. It wasn't done. But all of a sudden the sky is falling, and moratorium is the only thing that can save us because we're getting close to an election, and this is something we need to check off. We could just do the ordinances. And you'll see, I'll be engaged in bettering apartments, because you're right, Councilman Miklos, our city does deserve high-quality apartments, the past ones that are here currently, and any potential future ones that develop. But that's not what this moratorium is. This is just about political points. And I think this is why folks get irritated with politics.
Mr. Archer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to agree with my esteemed colleague to my right that this is about keeping promises to the people, because they're who really matters. And over the last few years, I've had hundreds of residents voice their concerns, both door to door as well as on social media, about the opportunity to have this pause and to have some good planning and preparation, as we've heard about tonight. In fact, we talk about political posturing. I've never one time, as was suggested at the last meeting, I've never one time, except for the last council meeting, ever heard of any citizen suggesting a moratorium on single-family residences, especially with the executive housing that we're finally getting in, that we've wanted so bad for so long. It's about keeping promises. It's about listening to what the people have said that they want, just as we've listened to their concerns about payday lenders, which, yes, that was a campaign promise too that we delivered on, or that I certainly pushed for initially. Truck stops, that wasn't a campaign promise, but the people had spoken, so we acted. Dollar stores, they asked us to address those issues vehemently, and we've done that. Party ordinances. People were very concerned about the issues with these late night parties and minors and all the parking and all the problems that come with them, and we act on them because the people asked us to act on those issues. So it's about listening to the people, and I believe that's what we're doing tonight, and I'm very proud that we're doing this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem.
I just wanted to say I was looking over some notes this afternoon from the last meeting we had, and the last council meeting that we had folks coming up, and they were expressing their thoughts about the moratorium, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, I think we had 5 to 1 that were saying we want the moratorium. Only one said we don't want the moratorium. We even heard someone tonight said we want the moratorium, and we should. I mean, if we would have been having it the other way around, 5 to 1. We don't want it, 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 we don't want it. And just one says we want it, we need to listen to the people. We still need to listen to the people. So anyway, I'm going to vote for it as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. See no more lights, so please cast your vote. And that item passes 6 to 1. Mr. Casper, on the one.